You've been working for years, you've been saving for decades. Now, when should you start withdrawing from your retirement accounts? We are here with financial advisor Mike Schessler of Sustainable Retirement Solutions. Mike, there's no rule book that comes along with that 401k or 403b or sometimes with your pension plan, but when do you start withdrawing from the accounts?
Great question. It's a question I get all the time. And a lot of it depends on what type of client I have. They could be a single individual, they could be a couple. And so one's working longer, one's deciding they don't want to retire for another 5 years. Others, I've had clients tell me they don't ever want to retire. They just want to keep on working. They want to build their small business. So each situation is different. But one of the questions and concerns that I have with particular clients of mine, they'll start pulling money from just random accounts. They've built up this 401k plan. They've built up this IRA. And they know the money's there and they know they can take distributions at their age, but they're not maybe thinking through in terms of which is the right account to pull from. So what we do is we really focus a lot on what order should we take our distributions. We're going to factor in your Social Security. We're going to factor in maybe any pension you may have. We're going to factor all of these things in. Do you have a Roth account? Oftentimes, generally we'll say, well, if you have an account that you've already paid taxes on, maybe you want to pull from that in the beginning because that'll keep your tax brackets lower. And then you want to maybe pull in some of your tax deferred money that was growing pre-tax, and then maybe Roth later on. But that's in general. That's, we have to look at everybody's situation just to determine that order, but we want to do it in the most tax efficient way.
When I think of my accounts, I already know I've got 5 or 6 different types. I imagine then you multiply that by 2 people in a marriage, 2 people who have been working, maybe received inheritances from mom and dad, grandma and grandpa. We're talking about a dozen or so accounts. Could you tell me how you organize that? Or do you just print it out, send them home and say, take from this account, take from this account? How do you show it to them?
Spike, I wish it was that easy, but but that's why they make software. So they have, I use software to help kind of organize all of that. When I work with my clients, I start out with keeping it simple. I like to talk about it as a funnel. You want the big funnel strategy from the top, and then you want to narrow it down to more of the particulars. And so I usually build a bucket strategy. My bucket strategy, bucket number 1 is their emergency bucket, all the liquid assets you would want to cover any emergencies. Your bucket number 2 would be your income bucket. Predictable income streams come from that bucket. And then your third bucket would be your performance bucket. This is your growth bucket. And what I do is I put that all out there on paper in a very simple bucket strategy way for my clients to really understand and get a kind of a visual of what their retirement could look like. From there, though, I will go deeper. I will then go and work with the different software that I have available to me where I can really dig into the numbers a little bit and show it in a more granular fashion. And from doing it that way, most clients look at it and say, wow, I'm actually getting a good visual of my retirement.
Is there, again, as their financial advisor, is there a little bit of then a hands-on approach yourself? I mean, do you help coordinate with the accounts? And again, I love how you're saying you work with software, but it still can, the doctor can say, here's the 12 different exercises I want you to do, and you go home and you're like, all right, well, I get these 2. I know I got to stretch. Right. But so how much do you facilitate it? Especially as we get older into retirement, it becomes more complicated. So do you help facilitate all that?
Absolutely. It has to be a hands-on approach, Spike, because you cannot just hand someone a sheet of paper these days and say, here you go, have at it. I did all the legwork and now it's your turn, your obligation to follow through. Yeah. We are the ones who, in our firm, really kind of take a hands-on approach, hand-holding, where we say, okay, you're in this for the long haul with us, hopefully, right? We want to be throughout the lifetime of your retirement. So we want to be the ones who are really kind of showing you the way, being your retirement guide, so to speak. And so what we're doing is we're going to help you through that process. We're not just going to put it on paper, but we're going to walk you through it, and we're going to keep on revisiting it to make sure that okay, I feel comfortable. I know I have required minimum distributions. RMDs are coming up. How do I navigate that? How do I know which accounts to pull that money from when I have these RMDs? our job is to help you navigate that whole thing.
Mike, thank you so very much.
You got it.
You still might be wondering yourself, which accounts do you take from first when you're withdrawing in retirement? We need to put together a strategy that is dedicated to you, your goals, your family, and your asset structure. If you'd like to get started on that, you can set an appointment by using the website right now down on the bottom of the screen. You can also call that phone number to set up your time. Thank you for watching.